to start the Drive with Care campaign, and it's sort of rolling already. I think the ads are on the local radio station. The billboards will be up next week in 2 locations and then keep going for the next couple of months. And all kinds of other things are happening. I got an email from the owner of the Sun, the newspaper which covers the southwestern corner of our area, and he sent me a photo of one of the posters. It happened to be Brayton, the poster version of Brayton, and he has it made very large sitting outside of the Sun's newspaper office in Hummelstown. And he says, enjoy. And so all kinds of different ways are being used to try to promote what we're trying to accomplish. And we have a bunch of people here that are LBBC members or past members.
Well, Pat, if we could kind of reorganize here, if the other folks are going to present with you, they can come up there, and we have a few additional empty chairs.
So Roy Gothy, why don't you come up here? And our 3 models, the people who made this campaign possible, if you would join them. Without Jones. Jonestown Bank and Trust. Terry is here to represent them. They move up as you like. You can have this seat. All right. Here. Oh, that's right. I'll go. This is sort of a promptu kind of thing as to how we pull all these things together, because they wouldn't say to me they wanted to talk or they wanted to say something as I try to work these things out. But we certainly welcome the opportunity to be able to do this today with you. We know that Lebanon County is a place where bicyclists come from far away, as well as neighboring counties, clubs, activities, because they just think Lebanon County is a great place to bike. And they also spend their money here. And then we have all of our local residents who bike for lots of purposes, and one of our models, Sam Collins, is probably our best example of using his bike to get wherever he's going, including biking here, and then back to the college to do his final exams with the students. Dale Spiker has retired and is now biking all over the place again, and is great for his all of his recreational activities and his physical fitness. And then we have 3 attorneys here, present and past members. So if the bar would raise your hand, you'll know that they care a great deal about the roads being safe for bicycling. So Joe, thank you for being here, and Harry and Greer. And we know that Harry, I don't know, Harry's had his thing with hit and run, and Joe's had a couple of incidents that have not been pleasant. And Greer, you're safe.
I've been lucky.
You've been lucky.
I don't ride as much as you. That might be a problem.
And other members of our organization are here as well. Roy Gothy is the bicycle pedestrian coordinator for the state, for PennDOT, and we appreciate his coming. And so with that, let me just do a quickie here for a moment. As I said, we love Lebanon County for biking, but unfortunately last year on July 22nd, a really bad thing happened. A hit-and-run driver chose to deliberately run into cyclists and really very badly harmed one particular person, and frightened, of course, the others. Then, shortly thereafter, a few days later, a bicyclist had his camera on, and he caught a motorist coming up against them, and very angry motorist who managed to stop and tell them some really serious things about where they belonged, and that the bicyclist got what he deserved in the previous crash. So that kind of scared people. So now you have bicyclists worrying that who's behind me, who's coming up? Is it the same perpetrator because he got away, or is it a copycat? And so there was that fear. And so we decided, meaning Lebanon Valley Bike Coalition, we had to do something. But we realized we couldn't do it alone. We had 3 important things we needed, and probably more than that. One of them was leaders from other places besides bike advocates. Thus, Lebanon County, Lebco NPO, Jonestown Bank and Trust, E&E Metal Fab, APR, and other businesses. Oh, I can't forget AAA, came forward and said, we want to help. We'll help with coordinating, we'll help with putting up signs, we'll help with ideas, and we will also give you money. And that was the other component we needed. We needed more people to care about it. We needed money. And we needed, we wanted to do a Drive with Care campaign, which meant we needed real bicyclists so that we could show them, show the public that they might be a deputy sheriff, but they're also a serious bicyclist.
Can't see it.
Stacy's planning to bike to Dewey Beach this summer, so you know how serious she is about it. In one day. Troy Peters has been sort of my sidekick through all of this, and Troy's the CEO of Jonestown Bank and Trust, and his daughter Brayton has become a very celebrated member, and people really like to put her up as their poster. And not everybody could be here. People had to work, and Brayton needed to be in school. And so we do have some of our so-called models here, and thank you. Thank you very much. And Jenny's here. Where's Jenny? Ah, there she is. Courageous. All right. We have another professor, Lebanon Valley College. We especially wanted him, I can tell it now, he's very young. He's going to be biking a lot.
What are you trying to say, Pat?
Not about me. I said very young. And he can't be here, Dr. Batra, because he's doing patients today. But with us today is Ron Birch from Gill Rock, and he has a poster, but he also has, those are the billboards that will be showing up. Ron will be showing up on 422 East across from Topahakan Manor next week. And Brayton will be showing up on 422 next week as well, and then we rotate. So those are the three elements. We needed E&E Metal Fab, we needed APR, we needed Jonestown Bank and Trust, we needed TPD, we needed Lupine Lighting, we needed Funk Construction, and all those kinds of things came together, and individual members contributed money as well. Is there anyone here who would like to say something for the business community?
Sure.
Oh, here's my model.
Well, what I found out is, I think, if you think about it, 99% of bicyclists are motorists. But if you flip the coin, very few percentage of motorists are bicyclists. So I think there's a disconnect. A lot of motorists don't really realize what we're out there doing as bicyclists, and they don't realize that we are trying to treat ourselves as a motorized vehicle, and we have to do certain things at intersections, and they just don't understand it. So I think there has to be some kind of education that has to go around, and that's hopefully what this campaign does, is try to get some education going throughout the community. But it's really nice when we get cooperation from everybody, and just like the bike lanes, the new ones that are going in are super. We just, on our Tuesday night ride 2 nights ago, we used the one at Rudders up in Anvil, so that's greatly appreciated. But yeah, those are like the things that we're after, just general education, and wherever the community can do things to help bicyclists, like bike lanes and so forth. That's what we're after.
Anyone else?
Talk just for a minute. I'm Terry Rozanovich with JVP. Troy Peters couldn't make it. He's traveling with work today. So both Troy and myself are avid bicyclists, and we ride several thousand miles a year. Some on the road. I do some mountain biking as well. But I have found over the years on the road, there are a lot more close calls than there's ever been. There's a lot of distracted, and Ron, exactly what you said. I think that when you've never run along a road, or when you've not biked along the road, you have no idea what it feels like to be that person when a vehicle is going by at 60 miles an hour. And most of those vehicles are in a terrible rush for whatever reason, and if they can use the next lane, they'll give you room. If they can't, they're not letting off the gas. And many of them forget, especially some of the big trucks, they've got mirrors that extend out almost a foot. I've been this close to a mirror, which is really frightening when they're doing 60 miles an hour. So certainly having the bike lanes, I think helps a lot. You can't have that throughout the state, I'm sure, but it is helpful wherever we can have them to have them. So thank you.
And thank you to Jonestown Bank and Trust for all the things that you've done as part of this campaign.
Dale Spiker, like all my life, all over the country. I just want to say Lebanon Valley is as nice as any place. We're very blessed, and we're filled with a lot of very low travel rural roads. And it is blessed.
Local crowd? Roy, would you please speak on behalf of PennDOT?
I didn't want to take anyone else's turn. I want to thank Pat for inviting me here today. This is the kind of local effort PennDOT really, really needs to help bring up the level of awareness for bicycling safety across the state. This is Bike Month, May, and we have a number of pieces of public outreach as well as an executive bicycle ride in Harrisburg we do to raise awareness of the fact that there is a need for bicycle safety, bicycle infrastructure, and education out there. And we do this through our social media, through press releases, through Facebook posts, through Twitter, but this is the kind of targeted local piece that we can't do by ourselves, and we really appreciate that awareness. These are local people, people you know, who are on the road riding, and that kind of changes the tenor and tone of the conversation out there. Kind of going along with this, I do want to mention we have a statewide bicycle pedestrian master plan update. It's underway right now. There's a community survey online, and we are asking people what are the barriers to walking and biking in the state? What would make you feel better about walking and biking? And we're getting this information at the county and the zip code level. So we'll be able to present to any MPO, to any county, to any legislator. These are the kind of the concerns that people are having. And what we are seeing is they're looking for more education for cyclists and drivers on how to behave appropriately. We're looking for bike lanes. They're looking further down the line for enforcement. And this is consistent for both walking and biking. So we also asked about crashes. One of the things PennDOT does not capture in our crash reporting are crashes that don't involve a motor vehicle. So we asked simply, have you been injured while riding a bike in the state? And that could be anything from skinned your knee on a trail to tipped your bike over because you hit a storm drain. We have about 23% of respondents saying they've been injured, and then we have about another 24.5% saying they've had a close call, whatever they define that to be. And we did ask, and a lot of them are motor vehicle involved. We did have a certain percentage of cyclists who said the injury was their own fault, which was really pleasing to see, kind of a responsible response. So we expect to have this statewide plan. We're talking about the health impacts of inactivity in the counties. We're getting cooperation from the Department of Health. We'll be able to talk to all of the planning partners about some of the costs of obesity, diabetes, chronic heart disease, and how these costs cumulatively impact the communities in ways that are often invisible, beyond the crashes and injuries you see for your pedestrians and cyclists. So there's a lot of discussion we'll be able to bring to the table of the costs of doing nothing when it comes to investing in your infrastructure, your safety, and your education campaigns. And it'll be motivating to PennDOT too, because we really do control a lot of the major cycle routes here in this county. So when we do resurfacing or rehabilitation projects, when we look at bridge restructuring, we can talk about what needs to be done on these routes. And this ties directly into the PennDOT Connects initiatives, which I'm sure the MPO has heard about already. Our secretary really wants to hear what the local governments see as the needs as we scope our projects. In the past, PennDOT's projects have come to the point in design where it's very hard to add a sidewalk or a wider shoulder or a bike lane. But now in the pre-scoping process, we go directly to the communities. We ask, what do you need here? Do you have flooding? Do you have speeding issues? Do you have problems crossing the street? How can we help solve these with our project? And our master plan is going to point us in that direction. It's going to point our local governments in the direction of what things should you bring to the table when PennDOT has a PennDOT Connects meeting? What do you want to talk about? Do you have a plan? Do you know what your network route looks like for walking and for biking? Where are your gaps? What is it going to look like in 20 years as your population grows or ages in place? A lot of people would like to be able to stay in their homes and walk and bike to the grocery store, to the church, to the school. How do you plan that? So when you come to the table of PennDOT, we can help you out. It's a really important connection that we haven't made in the past, and I'd like to see that grow in all of the communities across the Commonwealth. So education is big. Pat is working on that with us, and I really appreciate her efforts and the opportunity to talk to you today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'd just like to say on behalf of the County Planning Department and the MPO, it was a privilege to be able to work with Pat. I think Roy probably covered just about everything that you can think of. I think from a local perspective, our local partners, our municipal governments are going to be critical when we look at how our community is going to develop. Certainly with a MPO the size of ours, which I know you guys hear a lot of our meetings, $10 to $12 million annually doesn't go very far, being the smallest MPO in the state, but we also have to realize that some of our challenges go just beyond physical infrastructure, go back to education, how we do our outreach with our local partners. I think also from the planning department standpoint, we look at how is our county growing and changing, and where are those land uses, and where do we find opportunities that a lot of times are exactly as Roy said, they're through our collaboration with the department and with our other partners that we have. So we certainly appreciate the opportunity, Pat, to be involved, and thank you.
And we very much appreciated the last burst of money from Lebco MPO to be able to make several things happen. I know I said 15 minutes, Jamie, I apologize. But see, I'm not talking. We also want we have to thank Bacalita Advertising, because, you know, I went in there and I said, I want this and this is how I can afford it. And he and Tish just looked at me like, no, this is not a campaign. And so they have worked me a lot for 3 months. So it's been painfully enjoyable. I think that's the word. just to
endorsement.
That might be right.
And I'm continuing to work as we work on social media, which he insisted we have to do, and we are going to do. Just to reiterate, we'd love to have the person who did the hit and run last July 22nd turn himself in, so that we could just find out what happened and get that just cleared up. This isn't going to happen most likely. Nobody took the reward money, which is like $14,000 or something out there, but it would be grand. Secondly, we really want to convince motorists who are aggressive towards bicyclists to change. We've talked about it. We heard it from Terry. It's a 4,000-pound vehicle up against a 110-pound gal, and we lose. And also the passengers, because there's something strange about groups in cars that kind of like feed on each other. So it may not be the driver, it could be the passenger who's doing his thing. And of course the third thing, the other ones are impatient motorists who then turn out to be aggressive, but they don't realize it. And then those who are just so inattentive, reaching back, doing something, and then bam, they killed someone. I think of the Mennonite lady in Lancaster County who was riding on a bicycle. She's very important for her volunteer fire company, and she was killed by an agricultural driver of a vehicle. I think of the priest, the Episcopal priest who was killed in Mannheim going through an intersection by an inattentive motorist, and his parish lost their person. That was very important to them, let alone the family. So it does happen. We will try to educate bicyclists as much as we can. Unfortunately, we don't have the schools doing it. But the new version of the manual is out there. It's online. We have hard copies from Roy. Everybody should read the first few pages of the motor vehicle or the vehicle code that relates to bicycling. It's very clear, and he's made it clearer at the bottom of each one. Finally, we know the good news is most Lebanon County motorists are doing it right. We are comfortable most of the time, and that's really good news. Finally, a cyclist who couldn't be here said, Last September, a couple months after that incident, he reported, "I was biking alone when a tan greenish pickup truck sped by me closely. I heard a plastic water bottle crash to the ground beside me. It was thrown from the truck, which was driving very fast. This happened so fast I couldn't get the license number. I couldn't get the make of the truck. The bottle was half filled with liquid. It could have knocked me off the bike had it actually hit me." So we have our work cut out for us, but the good news, there's some good news. This didn't happen in Lebanon County. It happened in a neighboring county. So my message as we conclude is we're trying really hard here in Lebanon County, but it really has to happen all across South Central Pennsylvania. It has to go beyond our borders, and maybe what we're doing will get passed on to others. So thank you very much for the effort that you've made.
Could you tell us where you would call or email or go to report if you know something about the incident where someone was the one you're looking to capture?
Crime Stoppers is the place to go, or South Londonderry Township Police Department has been anxiously awaiting individuals to report something that they can then follow up on.
Does Crime Stoppers have a number or what?
I don't have their number
Oh.
memorized, but if you go on to Pennsylvania Crime Stoppers on the internet, you'll get that. But South Londonderry Township Police Department would be the most likely place to go because that's where the incident occurred.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting us have more than 15 minutes. And thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you for